To Plan 9 Crunch on the outskirts of Hollywood. I'm Doug Gibson. Say hi, Steve.
Hello, everyone. I'm Steve Stones.
Yes, and our character actor we are doing tonight is... Give us the name, all right?
Mr. Jack Canon.
Now, do you know who Jack Canon is? C-A-N-O-N? If you're a cult film fan, you might. If you watch Video Nasties, you might. He is the star of two movies that were directed by Frederick Friedel in the 1970s, very low-budget films. The first is called Axe, although its original title was Lisa Lisa. And the second, where Friedel is even more prominent, is called Kidnapped Coed. Lisa Lisa, yeah. Kidnapped Coed, which I believe the original title was the Kidnapped Date or something.
Kidnapped Lover.
The Kidnapped Lover, and then also it's called Date with a Kidnapper, right? Also,
there's like 3 or 4 different titles that it was marketed under.
Well, Jack Canon didn't accomplish a lot in film, but he has a striking screen presence, don't you think?
I mean, even look at him here. He's so intense on cutting his nails.
Yeah, little things. You're drawn. In this scene, we got, I think the guy's name is Ray Green, one of the bad guys. These are 3 guys. In Axe, they're 3 thugs, okay? One of the thugs is sort of a squeamish guy played by the director, Frederick Friedel. But Steele is the leader. And they just go around causing havoc and killing people. And they stop in this house where she's supposed to be a teenager. Her name is Lisa. And she's played by...
Lisa Rivers.
No, I think it's Leslie Rivers.
Or excuse
Leslie.
me.
No, it's not Leslie Rivers. What
I meant to say Leslie.
It's Leslie Lee.
Because her name in the movie is Lisa.
It's Leslie Lee, though, actually. We're getting ahead of ourselves.
Rivers is the woman in this movie. In Kidnapped.
Yeah, but we're watching Axe right now.
That's right. Yeah.
So anyways, it's hard because we're only hearing us talking, but if you have a chance to watch Jack Canon, he reminds me of an actor like Bo Svensson in the 1970s, or a young Jodan Baker before he got all those jowls around him, you know. And he also reminds me, even though doesn't have the same personality, of Jerry Reed, who's in Smokey and the Bandit movies with Burt Reynolds. But he has this intensity of being a bad guy.
Again, look at him here cutting his nails as he's sitting in the chair. He's got this really intense look on his face. It's just he plays this well, and he does it again in Kidnapped Coed.
Except in this one, how do I say this? In this one, you don't ever get to see a positive side of him in this movie, really. Okay, although you do see him starting to panic at the end. The thing about Axe is it starts out with them killing 2 gay men, who apparently one of them owes these 3 guys a bunch of money. It's a very violent scene.
Well, one of them jumps out the window.
Yeah, he jumps out the window. Yeah. I like well, I'm not going to talk about the director right now because we're talking about Jack Canon. Okay. But Canon is clearly the leader, and he likes to play with people he's talking to. When he's got them, he knows he has control over them. After they kill these 2 guys, they just go to a store to get some food and randomly terrorize the checker at the store
and shoot
the cashier.
Try to shoot tomatoes off her head.
Yeah, they strip her down to her bra, and she's a bit of a heavy woman, all right. And what happens is he shoots, but of course he hits ketchup. Mm-hmm. And that falls all over her.
Well, and the director, and my apologies if I'm not saying his name.
Frederick Friedel.
Friedel. See, I was going to say Friedel.
It might be Friedel for all I know.
Anyway, he shows us an interesting contrast because you see the ketchup all over her head, and then the next shot is a shot of Lisa cutting the head off of a chicken. So it's showing the red of the blood of the chicken in contrast to the red of the ketchup that's on the girl's head in the store.
That's a good idea. That's actually a good point. The director, Frederick, I'll just call him by his first name, okay, he really catches certain images, like even just seeing the bottom of that door, and things like that.
Well, the old man in the rocking chair.
That's the second movie, yeah. Those 2 people in that rocking chair, and the son, They would just live there. They asked him if they could use him as actors for one scene. But we're ahead of ourselves. Okay, and so they go to this house where Lisa, who kills the chicken, she's a very somber person, a very pretty girl, but she's somber. And,
very detached.
Yeah.
She's very quiet.
Yeah. And she lives with her grandfather, who is out to the world, essentially. He just stares at a TV screen.
He's got some mental issues that make it so he can't communicate, and he sits in the wheelchair all day.
I think
she feeds him and takes care of him.
I think it might be more than mental things. I think he might have been, something might have happened to him. And you get the idea, although it's never stated, because the one thing about Axe is you don't have backstories, all right, on people. Okay, you do on some other stuff in Date with a Kidnapper, but you don't in Axe. You get the feeling Lisa might have done that to him.
Like, for example, we know that the girl that's being kidnapped in Kidnapped Coed is the daughter of a politician. So we find that out, and we realize the reason that Jack Canon is kidnapping her is because he wants some ransom money from this politician.
Yeah, he does. You're right.
We do get some backstory.
Yeah, in that movie, there's more backstory. It's a longer movie, too. Only by about 10 minutes, but it's longer. And Leslie Lee, by the way, was the daughter of a politician in Tennessee. And last I heard, I read somewhere, I think she and her husband ran a sort of like a boat, whether it could be a fishing boat or tourist boat or something. And if you here's Jack Canon putting a lit cigarette in someone's mouth right now. But she declined to be interviewed, but I want to get back to the plot. So they stay at this house thinking they're totally in charge. And this guy, Ray, the little piggy one, if you're still alive, sorry, I apologize. He wants to rape her, and but they think they're totally in charge. And they're just so jocular, having to make food for him, and just sort of just talking in this kind of some funny, menacing way. But they're not in charge.
And it never seems to really bother Lisa either. She doesn't seem too concerned. She doesn't panic. She's still detached even from them when they've come and taken over her house.
She seems like a survivor without a soul, more or less. And I don't want to get into debate over whether we have souls or not. But she seems like a survivor, okay?
I love this shot here. It's like the camera's down on the floor.
Yeah.
And he's aiming it up at Jack Canon as Canon takes his shaving razor, and presumably, I guess he's cutting the guy's throat.
You know what Canon's talent is in this movie? Is you can think you can talk to him, but he is clearly a merciless man. He's playing with you. All right.
He's constantly got this look on his face like this. I mean, like you said, in Kidnapped Coed, we can at least see him smile a few times. In this film, he's just total gangster. He's total thug.
He is, but he's also he tries to be. It's a fake. He's a faux gentleman sometimes in this movie. I mean, even when he walks in before he starts to terrorize that poor cashier, he's polite, and stuff like that. When I was watching the Severin, right, Blu-ray, and they were discussing Frederick and the other people who made the movie, they compared him to John Garfield. I don't know if he's John Garfield because he's more of a 70s guy to me, but I could see him in a low-budget Western playing a Clint Eastwood role. You know that, actually?
Well, I think his wife says in one of the extras that he was hopeful he would become the next Clint Eastwood, that he would be a big actor like Clint Eastwood.
Let me go. I want people to know that about Canon's acting. See if I can find it real quick here. He was in the movie Maximum Overdrive.
Oh, really?
Yes, I watched that movie in a theater. I need to see it again.
Makes me want to go see it again. I haven't seen it since the 80s.
He was in Weekend at Bernie's. Okay. I mean, he didn't have a bad career, but we'll talk a little bit later about.
We could talk about his writing career.
Oh yeah, he wrote. You told me, what's that guy's name again? He wrote like 40 books for. We'll go back into that because I have it saved. But let's go back into his acting career. He was also in Scanners.
Really?
He's a hazmat suit worker.
Cronenberg movie?
Yeah, let's go. Let me go through all these right now. Okay, Lisa was the first. Well, actually, I don't think Lisa was made in 1974, like they say in here. Okay, because I know for a fact that Lisa, well, this Axe movie was made right before Date with a Kidnapper. So I think that's wrong.
One thing I noticed when I watched this movie 3 days ago, I don't know if this is relevant to anything, but it shows a close-up shot of the windshield of the car that Canon and the two others are in, and there's a sticker on there that says 1973. It could have been an expired sticker. I don't know. But, I mean, obviously...
Well, then maybe it's possibly... See, Date with a Kidnapper is a 1976 film, and based on what they were saying, and if they're not telling the truth, I can't do anything about that, the Date with a Kidnapper was made right after Axe. And they talk about...
Within just a few months or weeks? Or
Yeah, the summer, made in the fall. One was made in the summer. And Jack Cannon's wife, Mary Canon, who's interviewed on the thing, she talks about he left Hollywood because I want to say that in a second, but first I want to go into what is... He was in a TV show called... Okay, he was in a movie called Trucker's Woman, okay? And he was actually as Jake Cannon with two N's.
Well, if this was indeed made in 74, we're not entirely sure, then Cannon would be 40 years old here, because he was born in 1934.
I personally think it was made in 75, but I could be wrong. And then he was in a TV show called Moving On, and then he was in a show called The Blue Knight, a TV show. The Blue Knight is a famous novel by Joseph Wambaugh about a veteran cop, and it made a movie too. It's semi-famous, starring Joyce Scott.
This girl that he's throwing the tomatoes at, that's the cashier, she will later make another appearance in Kidnapped Coed as a bird watcher.
Yeah, in fact, I'll find her name real quick, all right, so we can tell people, even though they can't see us. But we hope, well, you know what, it's not working for me right now. Oh, here it goes. Let's see. Name is... Oh...
She seems to keep her cool pretty well, too, as he's shooting.
Well, she's traumatized, though, by the end of this, all right?
And we don't ever find out whether or not they killed her after...
Oh, I don't think they killed her. I did not get the impression she was killed. Okay, her name is Carol Miller. Okay, he was in Scanners, okay, as I mentioned, after A Date with a Kidnapper. He was in 1981 in Scanners. In 86, he was Max in Maximum Overdrive. In 1989, he's Murray Rose in Weekend at Bernie's.
I'm going to go watch Maximum Overdrive again. I haven't seen that movie since the 80s.
He's in a TV movie called Double Exposure, the story of Margaret Burke White, who I think was a maybe a photographer. He was also in a movie called Love Filled with Michelle Pfeiffer. Then he did voice acting, his last two, Serious Sam and The Story Keepers. Let me go back to when he was in The Blue Knight. His wife on the Blu-ray set says that a producer for a TV show called them and called him and said, "We want you to be in a TV show." We were that impressed.
And they never followed up.
Yeah, she said it was the first time she saw her husband actually have hope.
Yeah.
And she says she thinks it might have broken him and he moved back to the South where he was in these movies. And I assume he made a little bit of an effort in the 80s. I don't know if they filmed those movies where he was living and things like that. But
so is this the Carolinas, where, if I remember, South or North Carolina?
Let me look real quick. I knew this because I was watching everything.
In the credits, it mentions filming locations.
I'll find it in just a second. I want to say like I want to say Tennessee, but
he squishes that tomato on her head like that's going to make it stay on better, you know.
I don't think that's going to work. Oh, it was in North Carolina. Yeah, North Carolina. And there's the scene where you can't see it. The scene where it's a William Tell takeoff where he shoots. I doubt you Hines paid to have any exposure in this film. Hines.
So now
See the sneer he has in his face and the way his eyes are? If you look at those two men, who are you going to look at? You're going to look at Jack Canon or the other actor?
Well, even the way he itches himself all the time.
Yeah,
Itches his
yeah.
face. So now we're going to get a shot of,
He's
of a
sadistic.
chicken having its...
He pours. Oh, he pours some Coca-Cola over a certain part of her body. All right now. I don't think he killed her. Okay, I really don't.
I hope not.
Yeah. Did we mention? We haven't mentioned yet that Axe was a video nasty.
We haven't mentioned that yet.
Yeah, Axe was a video nasty.
Here in the States or in the UK?
In the UK, where it was banned.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, there's her dropping an egg,
Yeah,
and here's
she's gonna cut the head off of the...
Leslie Lee was, like I said, a politician's daughter, a prominent politician's daughter, and they said she just wanted to try something, all right? And so they cast her, and I wonder if the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals gave it okay to this film. I don't know. But she is a mystery. And basically she is the person who Jack Canon can't control in this movie, right? Did you notice when she killed if she did, I don't know if she did, but when she in the movie you suddenly click to the grandfather? That's why I think there might be something between them, all right? That happened.
He's still trying to recover from whatever you're saying.
Whatever, she might have done something to him. We don't know that. Like I said, there is no backstory to this movie. All right, there just isn't. It's that's what I like about it. It's so spare and bleak and austere. And you've got this woman with this young. Well, she's supposed to be a teenager, and she's got no emotion. She just goes through things matter of factly. There's one scene where she does contemplate suicide in the bathroom.
Yeah, with the shaving razor.
Yeah,
She's shaking while she's trying to...
That might be the one time. And then, of course, later in the movie, Canon attacks her. But I think that she gets under his skin. I don't want to give away too much of this movie. I want people to watch it. And by the way, this is one movie you can find on YouTube. Okay, so
Probably not as good of a print as this one.
No, that's definite. But Canon, one by one, Canon's Confederates, the mean guy, and the Friedel, who is reluctant to do all this, he actually falls in love with her. And there's a scene where she's thinking of killing him outside when he's talking to her.
Well, it's really disturbing when the big thug, I'm forgetting the actor's name, he goes into her bedroom.
I think his name is Ray Green,
and he rapes her, and then she cuts him in the back of the neck, and then she cuts him into pieces in the bathtub with the axe, and then goes back to bed in a bloody mess as if as if nothing even happened. She goes right back to bed in all the blood in the sheets of the bed.
They have TV shows on, and these are real actors performing for the director. Now, they didn't have the budget, because when you film something on a TV, it looks like that. And so they didn't have the budget to fix that. I
like it, though.
Yeah.
I like the way it looks.
Watch how she feeds him raw eggs. This is another reason why I think there might be some animosity between them in the past. Now, she hugs him at times, though. But
yeah, he's really out of it. I mean,
he looks like he needs to be in a care center or something.
Well, like you said, we don't get any backstory on these characters, so we don't know how he arrived at being the way that he is.
No, we don't. We have no idea. Let me give us... Jack Canon, okay, we know... Did I finish this? Yeah, his wife said he was crushed. And that really hurt him by not getting the TV show. But Jack Canon was also an accomplished author of pulp novels. And it's not easy to write pulp novels, okay? They take a lot of discipline, and they take a lot of economy, because they're not supposed to be more than 150 pages or something, you know? And you sent me a list. I'm going to go...
some of them.
Yeah, well,
maybe
enough...
4 titles.
So we get... Yeah, but it said he wrote like 40 of one. And probably,
yeah.
And let me find it really quick here.
It mentions like 4 of the titles.
Okay, I'm going to say what I found just on the internet. He was an action-adventure novelist. He wrote over 40 novels for the Nick Carter Killmaster series during the 80s. And he also wrote novels for the SOBs, Soldiers of Barabbas combat series, but he used the name Jack Hield. So he reminds me a little bit of Ed Wood, all the novels he wrote and everything.
Well, and Friedel's career is kind of like Ed Wood too, because he's an actor, producer, and director.
Well, we're going to get
these
into
two movies.
why Friedel didn't make movies after that. And I don't know what Friedel's doing now. I'd like to ask him if we interview him.
Well, I think he talks about why he got out of
Well,
making films in the extras, if I remember.
Yeah, we will. Yeah, he did. Well, there's a big reason. His name is Harry Novak, all right? Okay? And the funny thing is, Harry Novak's someone I've known about for a long time. I don't want to do this yet. Now let's talk about Date with a Kidnapper, all right? Okay? All right? He plays, you know what? I should have a medal because I can never remember the freaking name of the main character. Hold on. He's Eddie Matlock. Jack Canon plays Eddie Matlock. And tell us how this movie starts, okay?
Well, it just shows an interior shot of a hotel,
Which they show on the Blu-ray, by the way, still there.
and there's a man that's mopping a floor, sweeping a floor, and then you see Leslie
Leslie Ann Rivers,
Rivers,
who plays Sandra.
She walks
Morley.
down the stairs. She goes out into the street, gets in her car, and as she's settling into the driver's seat, suddenly a gun comes up behind her and points to the back of her head, and then we see Mr. Cannon, the actor, and I don't remember what he says to her, but obviously he's kidnapping her.
Well, she looks really traumatized, to give the actress credit, all right? And they drive through town, and Cannon treats her rather condescendingly, as his captive person. He keeps her out in the car. He goes in to get something in the store, and they just asked the guy if they could use that scene, all right? It was a barbershop, I think. And then he takes her to a hotel, and they go up to her room, and they don't realize that the actual desk clerk is actually dead. And these guys are faking, and these are guys who want to steal money from Cannon. And this is where I think Cannon really shows a bit of a change in how he's handling the girl, all right? They rape her, and it's a very disturbing scene in Kidnapped Coed. And Cannon has been beat up, and he's got bloody hands trying to get out of the rope, and he's screaming. You told me yesterday you thought that was really strong acting.
Well, the
on his sense.
the close-up shots of his face, his reaction as one of the thugs is raping the girl, that is some really intense and convincing acting on his part, because the close-up shots of his face, his reaction, and then it cuts to shots of his arms behind the chair, and he's trying to weasel out of the rope, and you see all the blood that's, the rope is cutting into his wrists, and he's just desperately trying to get that rope out from around his wrist so that he can attack these guys and stop the rape. So it's at that moment that you realize that he does have some kind of feelings for the girl. Otherwise, why would he? He's
not the cold-blooded killer in Date with the Kidnapper that he is in Axe, right? I mean, you put those dark glasses on him in Axe, and he looks like he could be in any Italian movie made in the '60s, all right, or something, a spaghetti western or a spaghetti detective movie, of imitation James Bond film,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, anyways, he rescues the girl, and he changes in personality from that point on. He kind of becomes her protector in the film, and I don't think he would keep her, all right? And they have a long scene in this place he told me he couldn't find anymore. It's like a barn or something in the middle of the North Carolina wilderness, where they sit and talk about their lives and things like that. And they gradually start to more or less cling to each other and become like a pair in that movie.
Well, and then one of the strangest scenes in that movie, for me anyway, is when he conveniently has this worn out, yucky looking toothbrush in his jacket, and he's got it wrapped with a cloth or tissue, and he pulls it out and he starts brushing his teeth with it, and then he offers it to her, and she just keeps brushing her teeth with her finger, because she doesn't want to use his
Yeah,
tooth.
she is repulsed by him for a long time in the movie,
Yeah.
all right? And he also has a backstory. He has a mother he calls, and she doesn't like him at all, his mother.
And she's at some care center because they always show her being picked up by a big guy. He brings her to the phone, puts her down in the chair. He attempts to communicate with her, and she doesn't want to talk to him. So then the guy picks her up out of the chair and takes her back to her room.
Well, and that guy is played by the late Larry Drake, who was Dr. Giggles in a cult film, but also an actor in lots and lots of TV shows, primarily L.A. Law. So in that little micro-budget film, you had Larry Drake in there. And this has more depth to it. You know, it's almost becomes a road film for a while, as they have this car and they're going into the wilderness. And
I'm laughing because we could talk about the bizarre red telephone booth.
I was about to ask you, tell us about that. There's a telephone booth, and they laugh about that in the extras.
Well, every time I watch Axe, which I understand that they're two different genres of movie, I keep thinking to myself, why is this red telephone booth not appearing in this movie? You know, so this red telephone booth that appears in Kidnapped Coed, you just see her out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it's literally
no wires. You wonder how they.
Every time he stops to make a phone call, there's this strange red telephone booth.
They bought it for a little bit of money.
And it's literally doesn't look like it's connected to anything, and it's out in the middle of some deserted field where there's nothing there.
Well, the people they meet, there are some bird watchers, in which this Carol, what's her name, is also there. And also, one of the women who are the bird watchers also plays Nick's, what's his name again? Eddie Matlock's mother. So you got actors playing two roles. But then he comes to this house where they want some assistance, or something. And there's a guy in a wheelchair, and he spits on him, right?
All he wants is water for his radiator.
Yeah.
Because their car is broke down because of the heat or whatever, and so he needs water to put in the radiator. And the old guy, he doesn't say anything. He just spits on him, and he's just simply asking for water in a bucket so he can put it in the radiator.
And then his big-bellied son comes out with a shotgun and tells him to leave. By the way, we're back to Axe real quick. It always struck me as very funny, not funny, but interesting that she didn't try to get the police to help. I mean, having a grandfather, maybe she loves him or something. He's not really a great hostage, okay? But it makes me think that she is warming to the idea of like perhaps killing them, all right?
She didn't say anything when they came, and she went outside to talk to him.
Yeah. Hey, now let's go back to Date with the Kidnapper. They go to another house where there's a young lady there and a teenager, and then either her father or grandfather, but he looks like Santa Claus, all right? And it's a really weird thing because they actually make love. There's a love scene.
In the upstairs bedroom.
Yeah,
and then the old guy peeks in on him.
Yeah. And then as they're starting to leave, he suddenly turns into a homicidal maniac.
With a pitchfork.
Yeah, trying to pitchfork him.
He's chasing actor Jack Canon around with the pitchfork.
And it's good acting by Canon because he tries very hard to...
Not to kill him.
Not to kill him. He's begging him not to do it and everything. He finally has to shoot him.
And then, of course, Leslie's character panics.
He has to chase her, yeah.
And then she ends up running in a field, and he chases her with the car.
But that seems to be cathartic. From that point, she's doting on him. You know that the rest of the movie. I don't know if I want to give up more about it. I'll just say he finds a lot of money. I won't give the number. And this has kind of an ambiguous ending. I kind of like it, but it's a total Stockholm syndrome thing. When the kidnapped one falls in love with the kidnapper, and the kidnapper is a bad man who seems to have a more depth of feeling than Canon's character, and he didn't act, all right?
And we don't want to give away what happens at the end, right?
No, because it's also kind of funny, too, you know that? I mean...
Because I almost did. I almost was going to talk about what happens at the end, but I think we better not do that.
Okay, I want to say something about Leslie Ann Rivers, who gives a very good performance. And I'm going to say something, but it's going to be in my opinion, okay? She was from New York, and she auditioned, and they liked her. And she she's kind of a woman who doesn't really look attractive at first, but it gets more attractive as the movie goes on. And she's nothing like that cheesy, prurient photo that Harry Novak gave, all right, for Kidnapped Coed. But, yeah.
It doesn't look like that on the cover.
She has maybe 10% like that. Okay, so the thing is, but when they had a cryptic message on the Blu-ray, they said Leslie Ann Rivers' whereabouts unknown. And I'm going to say something. I can't prove this. I'm not saying it's true, but I think there's a very good chance we know what Leslie Ann Rivers is doing. And I'm trying to speak, even though she's a public figure and I wouldn't get any trouble, I'm trying to speak with some respect, okay? I'm not going to tell people where the website is, but there's something for Leslie Ann Rivers. And this Leslie Ann Rivers is an accomplished novelist, okay? And also an accomplished actress, largely stage. And this Leslie Ann Rivers is 5'6" and a redhead, and looks a lot like the actress in the movie if she was 20 or 30 years older, okay? Mm-hmm. And when you go to her resume, and you can and everything, she has a listing of, like I said, the plays, and mostly regional stuff, but she's won awards, okay? And it says she studied in New York, which they said that she did, okay? And the actress. And then when you go to her films, it's pretty skimpy, and there's one film that isn't mentioned in there, and it's called Kidnapped Coed. And once again, I don't know this for sure, but I suspect that she didn't like that she was in that movie, all right? Maybe. If indeed that is the person.
So she may be distancing herself from that movie.
Yeah, I mean, and it is sort of a movie. This is a scene we're watching right now where she's contemplating committing suicide.
So
in Axe.
Jennifer Aniston doesn't like to put on her resume, I'm sure, Leprechaun.
She shouldn't. She was great in it. But no, let's face it, this is a movie where a woman gets raped, okay? And then she falls in love with a kidnapper who indirectly led her to being raped, and they run off together. She may not be proud of that, but the thing is, it's actually a better movie, in my opinion, than Axe. Even though I kind of like Axe more for its spareness. And it's a fine film, but if she doesn't want to be associated with it, that's perfectly her right, okay?
Well, I would say that Kidnapped Coed really highlights Jack Canon more than...
Yeah, Canon's in every movie.
And he really steals the whole movie. His presence.
He does. It's a Jack Canon film.
Mm-hmm.
And if they hadn't gone to Harry Novak, I think if they'd had some kind of good release on these... If they didn't go to Novak, they were only going to play in Southern drive-ins and stuff like that, all right? But Canon probably would have deserved a career because he is so watchable on the screen. He has screen presence to the max and everything.
Well, his acting is great.
Superb
his expressions.
Yeah, great expressions on his face. Even, like you said, little things he does with his hands and stuff like that. He's acting even when he's not the focus of the scene. And a lot of actors don't do that. Everything. Well, so let's get into... We're going to talk about... The director was talking about how he was trying to get some money back for the film. So he sought out Harry Novak. And he made a deal with Harry Novak, and he handed over the negatives. Mm-hmm. And he never really... He talks about how Novak never gave him any money. He may have got some initial money, I don't know. And he also gave the impression that Novak was asking for money from him. All right? Mm-hmm. And he said that he eventually calls Harry Novak a crook. And I've had people in the industry. I kind of liked Harry Novak. He was like some favorite interview for Plan 9 for Cult Movies magazine, but he does not come across very good here. And so at one point, Frederick Friedel says he wants to sue him, and apparently he couldn't because Novak had declared bankruptcy. And it went to presumably his wife, I think. He couldn't get the films back.
So there, in the extras, we see him pull up to Novak's office or this vault.
Yeah, he eventually dies.
His vault.
But can I say one thing first? He says before that he actually met Harry Novak. And this was when Novak was a very old man. And he said all this 20, 30 years of anger I had for him just went away because I saw this really old man who wasn't going to be alive much longer, But, and go what you're about to say now.
Well, he pulls up to Novak's vaults.
Well, there's his office, actually.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's so worn down when he pulls up that I was thinking maybe it was vaults, but he has to crawl over mountains of boxes.
Every room.
To go through all these boxes to try and find his film somewhere in that office.
Novak had a long career. He released a lot of movies, and ironically, Axe and Kidnapped Coed may have been among his best films. But it's like, I couldn't believe that whole place was nothing but storing old films. Novak never threw anything away, I guess. And if you even went outside, there was films in the shed that was open.
And that's what we see when he pulls up to the lot.
I'm wondering what happened to those movies. Because, remember, Novak made a deal with Something Weird. I'm sure Frederick, director, made no money from that. I mean, I could be wrong, but he made those deals back in the 90s. And now I think Novak's films are even with somebody else now, because that ended that.
Something Weird had to pull any release of any Novak produced film because I guess they lost the rights, or Novak took control over the rights of those.
They made it look like Friedel and others from Severin were just going in there on the sly. All right, I don't know if that's really true, because they have a thanks to Harry Novak's widow Carmen at the end of the credits, and she's also interviewed once talking about her husband. I don't know. It could be they actually went in there. He certainly had every right to grab it after Novak was dead. All right, and I'm glad he found it, because he wouldn't have this Blu-ray.
Yeah,
I think I bought Something Weird of Axe,
and it was not nearly as good of a print as this one by Severin.
And it was also with a film I didn't really like, but I'm glad. But we haven't mentioned Bloody Brothers. I have not watched that yet,
and neither have I.
And it's actually makes McLeod and Steele as brothers.
It merges these two movies, doesn't it?
Yeah, and they're brothers, actually. I guess twin brothers or something. And it's something I do plan to watch. I kind of, with Plan 9 Crunch, I'm watching 15 things at a time, reading 5 books at a time. So I did watch Axe and Kidnapped Coed and the extras. Oh, Stephen Thrower made some excellent comments, too, particularly about Axe.
Yeah, he's got the top comment up here on the back.
What's it say? Let's... Yeah, he's right. But they're ahead above the pack of these movies. He talked about how you don't know anything. You're not allowed to know anything in Axe. You're just allowed to experience what is actually happening, Let's talk a little bit more, since we're probably going to be done pretty well now. I'd like to talk about a little bit more about Canon. What do you see in the man? What genre of films do you think he really would have excelled in?
Well, I would think crime drama, perhaps even action films, police, cop type movies.
I would think, yes. I think, like I mentioned, Bo Svensson and Joe Don Baker, I think he would have been an excellent heavy in some of these Southern movies that came out, like Smoking the Bandit or something like that, or Cannonball Run even, or something. I think he had the potential. This film, Axe, is the only one Cotty's watched with me in my cult films, other than Ed Wood. The funny thing is, as I asked her about it, we watched 2 years ago, and she said, I don't remember it. She may have been playing with me, though. I don't know.
She's not a fan of these things like we are.
I think he might have been good as a heavy in spaghetti westerns and even regular low-budget westerns. And I think he would have been good in those fake James Bond movies, too, that come out. I think if he played a cop or if he played a criminal, he might have achieved major stardom. Or if he played a tough Southern guy, he might have... I don't think... It would have been hard for him to be a star, but he had screen presence where he could have been a pretty good character actor, definitely. It's kind of a shame. He has some cool films, but he never really...
And we're used to seeing him in a 3-piece suit in both of these films, so I try to envision him in a police uniform or, dressed in everyday clothes like most people, if that would work.
Well, he's the kind of criminal that wears a shabby suit, and tie is undone and everything. Jack Canon was born in 1934. He died in 1974. I want to mention one more.
No, 2004.
Oh, gosh. I am just...
2004.
You know why I said that? Because 70. Yeah, he died in 2004. If he died in 74, he wouldn't have made these movies. But one thing, if you go to like the IMDb page for Date with a Kidnapper / Kidnapped Coed, the Leslie Rivers is what they give you, and it's not Leslie Ann Rivers. It's a person who was born like 1934 and is dead now. And it just makes me wonder, once again, this is in my opinion, I'm not claiming anything, but I wonder if something was done to try to get people not to think that Leslie Ann Rivers made Kidnapped Coed. If she ever wants to contact us,
we would
yeah, and I'm not saying that Leslie Ann Rivers is the person I was talking about. I don't know that. It's just coincidental, okay? I think there might be some aversion to being like in this film, you know. Again, it is a very it's actually a more adult film than Axe is. It's kind of, but you know, Axe is considered a horror film. I don't know if you consider Kidnapped Coed a horror film.
I wouldn't.
No, it's like
just
a
call
crime
it a
film.
crime
drama or something. We're just seeing on Axe right now, Leslie Lee as Lisa, starting her revenge on these people. And I wonder where they got that oldest.
It was probably up in the attic of that house.
What's it called? It's not called a suitcase. It's called a
crate. I don't know.
It's not really called a crate. It was something you used to take on a ship. You know, the Bela Lugosi had it when he came to America, and they auctioned it off. And I can't remember the name right now. It's a common word, but I have this ability to not know things when I'm on Plan 9 Crunch. Like last night, I could not remember the guy in Plan 9 Crunch who said, "One thing's sure, Vector Clay's dead, murdered. Somebody's responsible." What is that actor's name? I know that actor's name, and I can't remember it right now. Because, you know, Don Nagel was in the films with him. I feel like such an idiot when that happens. But
sometimes our minds go blank when we're trying to focus on that particular topic, but then when we're not thinking about the topic, then it comes back.
Yeah, Duke Moore. See, I remember it now. It was Duke Moore. I couldn't remember yet last night when I was doing it. But anyways, Jack Canon, we want to pay tribute to him. He was a very good actor on the outskirts of Hollywood who made a lot of good films. Anything more you want to say?
Well, I would just say it's unfortunate that he didn't make more films, because we would love to see him in other films. This is a great treasure to have the two that we have. You know, if only he had had a career and gone on to do other films as well.
Yeah, I think I'll be trying to watch Maximum Overdrive again, and the one about the guy who's dead. What's it called?
See, I should have remembered those.
Yeah,
I just forgot about those.
Yeah, he's in those, and they're easy to find. Weekend at Bernie's.
Actually, what I should have said was, it would have been interesting if he would have collaborated further with director Friedel and made more films with him.
But I don't think Friedel made any more movies. Let me look at his thing really quick.
Well, we know that he didn't, but I'm saying it wouldn't it have been interesting if he did.
Actually, he has 20 credits. You know, maybe I'm wrong. He directed a movie. I need to apologize to Friedel. He made some other movies. He made 4. One movie called My Next Funeral in 2000. And then that was it. And he made the 3 films with Canon when he put the 2 together also. He wrote My Next Funeral. He wrote that movie, and about the other ones are about all he did. So he's been on some shows.
Here's why this is a video nasty. I mean, she's just hacked. Well, I shouldn't give away the plot, but all this blood that she's trying to mop up.
Yeah, it's a. And why do you think Leslie Lee declined to be interviewed? I mean, maybe she didn't want to be associated with a film that was a video nasty or something. You know, I don't know.
Well,
it's just a possibility.
It seems like both Leslies didn't want to. They kind of distance themselves from these films.
But a lot of people don't understand cult. All right, I mean, Date with a Kidnapper is not some sick movie. All right, it's got some stuff that's really strong in it, and it's got a message of them falling in love that could be considered, bad or
She
something.
even makes the point when they're in the car at one point that she really doesn't want to go back. I every time I see that in the film, I'm like, really? You've just been kidnapped and now you don't want to go back?
Well, she falls in love with him, and perhaps the actress today finds that offensive. All right, okay, it's a Stockholm syndrome thing. Plus, the film does kind of end ambiguously too. Also,
and we won't give away what.
Yeah, we won't. We won't. Well, we're going to say goodbye now, and we appreciate the work of the late Jack Canon. We appreciate Severin. Buy the Blu-ray for Axe and
it
Kidnapped
comes with
Coed.
the CD of music.
Yeah, because the two guys who did the music, and let me see if I can find it really quick. They both were killed in a car accident. It's really tragic when they were like in their early 20s. So he's worked really hard to try to keep the their memory alive. I'm trying to find real quick the people who did the music. They really talk a lot about that in the
extras.
Yeah. Okay, why can't I find the? Okay, I got the cast. Here.
Director Friedel makes a comment in one of the extra clips. He said, "I used Orson Welles as kind of my inspiration because Welles had made Citizen Kane by the time he was 25, and he felt like he needed to, get on that director bandwagon and try and make his films, or at least one film, before the age of 25. So he's what, like 26 here, maybe 20?
Very young, very young. I don't even. The two composers who were tragically killed afterwards, George Newman Shaw and John Wilhelm. Just young kids too, you know that?
Early 20s?
21, 22 or so. So we're gonna say goodbye now. We're all caught up in watching Axe again because I can watch this film 15 times and still enjoy it.
Oh, absolutely.
So we're Plan 9 Crunch. This has been On the Outskirts of Hollywood with actor Jack Canon, the late actor, Canon, and Plan9Crunch.com is our blog where Steve reviewed Kidnapped Coed and I reviewed Axe. So we'll have links to it. All right. And we're also on TikTok, and we have a Facebook page, Plan 9 Crunch podcast and blog. And Plan 9 Crunch, this will be on YouTube, our Plan 9 Crunch page. So give us a subscribe and listen to it. Thank you very much, and that's a wrap.